in this city. Everyone has a secret.
They say pulling the trigger is easy. A simple squeeze, a fraction of a second, and it's done. What they don't tell you is how heavy that trigger feels after, how the weight of it settles in your soul and refuses to leave. The year is 1976, Oakland. The city's pulse is a drumbeat of ambition, desperation, and secrets. Smoke from factory stacks paints the sky gray. Down below, in the rain-slicked streets, shadows dance and deals are made in whispers. This is my beat. I'm a private investigator, and I've seen more of this city's dark side than most. But I've never seen a case like this. It started with a name whispered in a smoky bar, the Ghost. Not because he was hard to find, but because he'd vanished. The Ghost was one of the city's most reliable enforcers. Cold, efficient, untraceable. If you needed a problem to disappear, you called him. And then, one day, he just stopped. No more jobs, no more bodies. He just faded away. The bosses were nervous. A man with that many secrets walking around is a liability. They wanted me to find him, to make sure he wasn't a loose end waiting to unravel everything. They thought he was a threat. They were wrong. He was something far more complicated. My search didn't lead me to a safe house or a shallow grave. It led me to a quiet, run-down apartment overlooking the shipyards. And inside, I didn't find a hardened killer. I found a man named Arthur Hayes, surrounded by stacks of paper with a pen in his hand. He was older than I thought, his face etched with a kind of torment I'd only ever seen in confession booths. He wasn't planning to talk to the cops. He wasn't planning his next move. He was writing letters, apology letters, dozens of them, each one addressed to the family of a person he had killed. He showed them to me. The paper was cheap, the ink sometimes smudged by what I could only guess were tears. He wrote about the people he'd taken, not as targets, but as people. He'd researched them, learned their names, their favorite songs, the names of their children. He wrote about a dock worker who loved to fish, a bookie who doted on his daughter, a union organizer who was trying to make things better for his men. Each letter was a confession, a eulogy, and a desperate plea for a forgiveness he knew he'd never receive. He told me it started with one job, a young man, barely out of his teens. After, he said he could still see the kid's eyes, full of surprise, not fear. That night, he couldn't sleep. The weight of that trigger, that one simple action, became unbearable. He said he couldn't bring them back, but he couldn't let them be forgotten as just another name in a file. He had to give them their stories back. So what do you do with a hitman who stops killing and starts grieving? The men who hired me wanted a monster silenced, but all I found was a man drowning in the ghosts of his own making, trying to find some kind of absolution with a pen and paper, who was getting older by the minute. In the shadows of Oakland, where life is cheap, this man was trying to calculate its infinite value, one apology at a time. My job was to bring him in. I came back another day, but standing there, in that room, filled with the heavy silence of regret, I had to ask myself, who was the real judge of a man's soul? The law, the men who paid me, or the man himself, trying to rewrite his own ending? The weight of that decision felt almost as heavy as his trigger. If you're fascinated by the complexities of the human psyche and the stories hidden in the shadows, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our next dive into the noir. See you next time. The story's over. The silence isn't.